Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do before we play the national anthem is introduce a guest speaker for you. This gentleman has seen more than many of us will ever imagine. Serving in the U.S. Navy, fighting for our freedom in the Second World War. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Bob Noyes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. To see all you people motivated and dedicated to putting your bodies in good shape. And I'll start out with a little bit of my background. I was born in Chicago, raised in Chicago. When I was old enough, I got in the Golden Glove. I bought the Golden Gloves in Chicago, came in second in the title in the Great Lakes area. From there, I went to high school. World War II broke out in 1941. My two brothers entered the service. One was in the 82nd Airborne, and the other was in the headquarters company. There was another fellow and myself that we started grammar school together, and we were kind of lifelong buddies. So we decided that we wanted to go in the service and do our part. So we both joined the Navy. He was 17, I was 16. I lied about my age and got in. Did my boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. From there, I had a 1 week liberty. Went to Norfolk, Virginia, and shipped out. My first tour of duty was in the Atlantic. My first combat was in Sicily. From there, we hit North Africa. And we came back to the States. We painted our ship, took on stores and ammo, went through the canal, and went to Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was bombed in December 8th, 1941. I was there in June of 1942. And it was still pretty much a mess. But we operated in and out of Pearl Harbor. The first tour of duty out of Pearl Harbor was we hit Wake Island. I was on a light cruiser, and a light cruiser's job is to protect the larger ships. If anything was in the water going toward a larger ship, we were ordered to take it, like torpedoes or whatever. And from Wake Island, we were out 9 months without seeing land. We hit Tarawa, Bougainville, we were on up the coast and in Marshall Islands, Gilbert Islands. My last tour of duty was I lost it. That's what happens, you get my age. Those computer chips slip. Anyway, it was a battle, I forget what it was now, but anyway, it was my last campaign. And we were out at sea, and the USS Princeton, which is a carrier, heavy carrier, their planes were off. One lone Japanese dive bomber hit the Princeton with an armored person bomb, went through the flight deck and into the gasoline area and exploded. We were in the area, and there were some destroyers in the area, and we were all called to help fight the fire. The fire was out of control. So we pulled up alongside the Princeton, we put our hoses on. We were there maybe 15 minutes when the fire hit the bomb area of the ship and completely destroyed the Princeton. We had heavy casualties on our ship. Our ship was badly damaged. Matter of fact, the USS Birmingham, if you want to look it up on the computer, there's a history of it. Tells exactly what happened. We were torpedoed, we were bombed, we had kamikaze hit us. We had several major damages occurred to our ship. Like I said, my last tour duty was when the Princeton blew up. From there, I was taken off and put on a hospital ship and taken back to Pearl Harbor. I spent a month in IEA Heights Naval Hospital. From there, I was sent back to the States, and I spent 3 months in a convalescent hospital. And I was discharged from there. But anyway, this young man that joined the Navy with me, he lost his life when the Princeton blew up. Yeah, excuse me, Judge. You know, sometimes it gets back. Anyway, that was my experience in the Navy, and the reason I went in the Navy, I didn't want you people talking Japanese. You know, I wanted you to be Americans, healthy Americans, and live your life in America as a free land. If it wasn't for the World War II veterans that did fight that fight, we would be talking Japanese and German. Nevertheless, that's what happened. I got out of the Navy. I had goals set in my life. I always wanted to be a policeman since I could remember. I moved from Chicago to Dayton, Ohio, and I lived there for about 6 months, and I decided, first of all, I have to tell you, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I met my wife in my freshman year of high school, and we started going together, and when I decided to quit school and join the Navy, she got mad at me and she parted her way. When I got out of the Navy, I went over to the high school, and I saw her coming out the door, and I called her, and she came over to the car. We started going together, and we were married. That's 6 months later. And we were married for 68 years. We had a wonderful life. And I went on the police department, and I set my goals, and I wanted to be in charge of the academy someday. That was my goal that I wanted to do. So after 4 years in patrol, I worked in the detective section. I worked vice squad. I worked undercover narcotics for 2 years. I worked homicide. And from there, I made my ranks up to lieutenant. And I had to have a 2-year degree in order to take over the academy. So I went back to college. I went to college at the age of 40. Spent 2 years and got my associate's degree in law enforcement and criminal justice. My last 8 years on the police department, I was in charge of the police academy. So I met those goals. My last goal in my life is to be the last living World War II veteran. And I think I'm going to make it. That's about all I have to say. The reason, like I said, that I did get into the war, because everybody was gone. All my friends were gone. My family was gone, my 2 brothers. And I thought that, you know, it was time that I do my share. And I felt that it was necessary to go in and help. And I made a career of it for 2 years, and after the 2 years, like I say, I had to retire, or I was discharged. Thank you very much for listening to my